Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will discuss John Webster's play, The White Devil. The White Devil, published in 1612. John Webster, 1578, 1632 or 34. John Webster's The White Devil is a dark, intricate masterpiece of the Jacobean stage, combining revenge, lust, hypocrisy, and a tragedy into a haunting study of moral corruption. Its heroine, Vittoria Corombona, remains one of the most complex women in early English drama, intelligent, defiant, and doomed. Through her, Webster exposes the hypocrisy of a world where white devils wear the masks of virtue and a truth itself is stained by corruption. The genre of the work: revenge tragedy, Jacobean tragedy. Date of first performance: 1612. Performed at the Red Bull Theatre, London. Date of publication: 1612, first quarter edition. The full title of the book is The White Devil, or the Tragedy of Paolo Giordano Ursini, Duke of Bracciano, with the life and death of Vittoria Corombona. The setting of the book: Rome and Padua, Italy, late 16th century. The language: early modern English. Historical and literary context. Written during the Jacobean era, reign of King James I. Inspired by true historical events in Italy involving Vittoria Acrombani, a beautiful Venetian noblewoman murdered in 1585 after a series of political and romantic intrigues. Belongs to the revenge tragedy tradition, like a Hamlet and the Duchess of Malfi, also by Webster, marked by corruption, betrayal, lust, and a moral decay. Webster was known for his dark, complex, and poetic imagination, earning him the title The Poet of Death. Summary of the book. Act first: Forbidden Passion. Duke Bracciano, a powerful Italian nobleman, is married but infatuated with Vittoria Corombona, a beautiful woman married to Camillo. Vittoria's brother, Flaminio, a witty but a corrupt courtier, acts as a go-between, encouraging their affair for personal gain. Isabella, Bracciano's virtuous wife and a sister of Francisco di Medici, that is Duke of Florence, is heartbroken by her husband's betrayal. Vittoria dreams of murder, foreshadowing the deaths to come. Act second: Murder and manipulation. Bracciano and Vittoria plot to kill their spouses. Bracciano has Camillo strangled, making it look like an accident, and Isabella poisoned through a portrait that releases poisonous fumes. Their plan succeeds, but a suspicion arises. Vittoria is accused of adultery and murder by Francisco and a Cardinal Monticelso, later Pope Paul IV. In Act 3, the trial. The trial of Vittoria is held before Monticelso. Vittoria's eloquence and dignity during her defense make her appear more noble than her accusers. Nonetheless, she is declared guilty and imprisoned in a house for penitent horse. Bracciano, furious, frees her and marries her secretly. Monticelso becomes Pope and a was revenge. Act 4. The Web of Revenge. Francisco de Medici plots to avenge his sister Isabella's death. He sends Lodovico, a violent nobleman, to kill Bracciano. Francisco tricks Bracciano into believing Vittoria has been unfaithful, deepening the tragic misunderstandings. Flamino, Vittoria's brother, becomes increasingly cynical and dangerous. Act 5. Death and Destruction. Lodovico and his accomplices poison Bracciano, who dies in agony. Flaminio, now desperate and insane, tries to murder Vittoria and her other brother Marcello, but ends up killing Marcello in rage. Later, Flaminio and Vittoria are killed by Lodovico and Gasparo. The play ends with a pile of corpses. Revenge has consumed everyone. Francisco enters at the end, shocked at the devastation his revenge has caused, and justice is ironically restored through death. Now let's have a look at the major characters. First of all, we have Vittoria Corombona, the white devil herself, who is beautiful, intelligent, ambitious, and morally ambiguous, a victim and a villain at once. Next, we have Duke Bracciano, Vittoria's lover, passionate and ruthless, responsible for the murder of his wife Isabella. Next, we have Flaminio, Vittoria's brother, witty, cynical, and corrupt, a symbol of moral decay in a corrupt court. Next, we have Isabella, the virtuous wife of Bracciano. Her purity contrasts with Vittoria's corruption. Next, we have Francisco de Medici, Isabella's brother, represents political revenge and manipulation. Next, we have Cardinal Monticelso, who is later Pope Paul IV, a religious authority turned avenger, symbolizes hypocrisy within the church. Next, we have Lodovico, a violent nobleman who becomes an instrument of revenge. Next is Camillo, Victoria's husband, weak and easily deceived. Next, we have Zanche, Victoria's black servant, loyal but later betrayed. Next, Marcello, Victoria's other brother, more moral, killed by Flaminio. Now let's go to discuss the themes and ideas in the work. First theme is corruption of power. Nobles and clergy alike are morally corrupt, using love and religion for personal gain. Appearance versus reality. The title of the play, that is The White Devil, suggests outward purity hiding inward corruption. Female agency and misogyny. Victoria challenges male dominance and hypocrisy, but is punished for her independence. Revenge and justice. The play questions whether revenge can ever bring a moral justice. Sexual politics and desire. Lust and ambition intertwine, leading to destruction. Religion and hypocrisy. The church, represented by Monticelso, is politically motivated and corrupt. Death and decay. Death pervades every act. Webster presents life as fragile, corrupt, and tragic. Now let's talk about the structure and style of the work. The work is in 5 acts following the model of a revenge tragedy. The prologue, spoken by the ghost of Isabella in some performances, warning of moral decay. Complex plot with multiple revenge cycles. Webster's language is highly poetic, dense, and symbolic. Imagery: death, corruption, decay, blood, darkness, and a disease. The tone is gloomy, philosophical, and satiric. Use of irony. Many just characters act immorally. Villains often speak truth. Now let's have a look at the important lines from the play. The title reference, that is, the white devil, symbolizes outward beauty masking inward vice. Now Victoria at her trial tells, "I am a woman, and that fact alone is cause enough to make my words suspected." It shows Webster's awareness of gender injustice. Now Flaminio says, "We cease to grieve, cease to be fortune's slaves, nay, cease to die by dying." It's a grim reflection on death as the only escape from corruption. Now Bracciano on Victoria says, "Oh, thou hast made me giddy with thy sweetness." It shows how passion blends reason. Next, Cardinal Monticelso says, "The wolf shall find her grave, and though his bonds lie," it is symbolic of inevitable moral retribution. Now let's talk about the literary significance of the work. The White Devil is one of the greatest Jacobean tragedies, alongside Webster's other play, The Duchess of Malfi, and Shakespeare's Hamlet and Macbeth. It is noted for psychological depth and a moral complexity rather than straightforward revenge. Its female protagonist, that is, Victoria, is among the earliest tragic heroines with a psychological realism and a defiance. The play blends horror, poetry, and philosophy, showing Webster's mastery of tragic atmosphere. Now let's talk about Webster's use of symbols. The White Devil is symbolic of the facade of purity hiding corruption, hypocrisy of society. Poisoned portrait is a symbol of deceit and the deadly nature of passion. Court and church, microcosm of moral decay and political corruption. Dreams and madness, a reflection of guilt and a psychological torment. Blood and a disease, constant imagery of sin and a moral infection. Now let's talk about the moral and philosophical message of the play. Webster presents a bleak moral vision. Society is irredeemably corrupt, and both the good and bad are destroyed by moral decay. True virtue is powerless in a world dominated by hypocrisy. Women like Victoria suffer double punishment for their sins and for the defiance of patriarchal expectations. The play exposes the rot within religion and power, suggesting that moral integrity cannot survive in a corrupt world. Now let's have a look at the critical interpretations of the work. T.S. Eliot called Webster's world one where the skull beneath the skin is always visible, the poetic image of inevitable decay. Critics see Victoria as both a villain and a victim, an early example of tragic female agency. Modern readings highlight the play's proto-feminist undertones, and a critique of institutional corruption.